Hello Warriors fans! We are diving straight into the latest happenings around Golden State, and this season continues to deliver layers of excitement, tension, hope, and big unanswered questions. As the calendar keeps turning and the Warriors move deeper into the grind of the schedule, it's becoming clearer with every passing game that this team is standing at a critical point. Every night feels heavier. Every possession feels louder. And every decision, whether made on the court or in the front office, seems like it could tilt the direction of the franchise. This is not just another regular season stretch. This is a defining chapter for the Golden State Warriors. The energy around this team is different right now. You can feel it watching the games, listening to post-game interviews, and even following the conversations among fans. There's a sense that the Warriors are slowly rediscovering their rhythm, but at the same time, they're still searching for consistency. That balance between confidence and urgency is what makes this stretch so fascinating. On one hand, there's belief. On the other, there's pressure. And as the playoff picture begins to take shape, every matchup from this point forward carries real weight, not just for seeding, but for identity. The return of familiar faces mixed with the opportunity for younger players to step into larger roles has created a dynamic atmosphere where nothing is guaranteed. Every shot matters. Every defensive rotation matters. Every lapse is magnified. The Warriors are trying to blend two timelines, the veteran core that has already delivered championships, and the emerging generation that's hungry to prove it belongs on the same stage. That tension isn't a weakness. It's a test. And how Golden State responds to that test will define the rest of the season. At the center of everything, as always, is Steph Curry. Even now, after everything he's accomplished, Curry remains the heartbeat of this team. He is the offense. He is the gravity. And somehow, remarkably, he keeps finding ways to raise the bar. Recent performances have made it clear that he's not just maintaining an elite level of play, he's pushing it higher. Against teams like Utah, the blueprint becomes obvious. Curry identifies matchups, exploits space, and rains down threes with a rhythm that feels almost unfair. Watching him work off the ball, relocate, and fire in one motion never gets old, and it never stops being devastating for opposing defenses. Utah may have size in the paint, but the Warriors have shown time and again that spacing, pace, and ball movement can neutralize even the tallest defenders. When the offense is flowing, when the ball doesn't stick, and when Curry is drawing two defenders 30 feet from the basket, everything opens up. Suddenly, a quick cut becomes an easy layup. A well-timed pass turns into a corner three. A broken rotation leads to instant punishment. This is the Warriors at their best, and it's why their system remains so dangerous when executed with confidence. But the challenge has always been consistency, especially on the road. Overconfidence can creep in. Focus can slip. And teams like the Jazz, even when missing key players, are more than capable of catching opponents off guard if they build early momentum. That's why discipline matters. That's why experience matters. And that's why Golden State's margin for error is smaller than it used to be. Momentum is a theme that can't be overstated for this team. Coming off what looks like a favorable matchup, the Warriors know they can't relax. Because next up comes a very different challenge. Detroit. A team that brings physicality, energy, and defensive intensity every single night. Detroit doesn't care about reputation. They care about contact. They care about making games ugly. And that's where things get interesting. The presence of Jalen Duren adds a serious layer of difficulty, especially in one-on-one situations involving Draymond Green. This matchup is more than just two players colliding in the paint. It's a clash of styles, wills, and mental toughness. Duren's strength and activity around the rim will test Draymond in ways that go beyond the box score. And Draymond's ability to anticipate, communicate, and disrupt will be just as critical. How this battle unfolds could define the tone of the entire game. These are the moments where experience shines, where basketball IQ becomes the difference. The Warriors' veterans understand when to push the pace and when to slow it down. They know how to manipulate defensive schemes, how to bait overcommits, and how to turn patience into points. But that only works if execution is sharp. A sloppy start against a physical team like Detroit could flip the script quickly. And Golden State knows it can't afford to let others dictate tempo. Looking at the roster as a whole, the internal dynamics are impossible to ignore. There are flashes of brilliance from players like Jordan Poole and Moses Moody. There are stretches where they look ready to take a leap. But the foundation of this team still rests heavily on Steph Curry, Draymond Green, and Klay Thompson. That trio remains the stabilizing force. The question is how everything around them evolves. Injuries, rotations, and matchup-specific decisions continue to shape minutes. Steve Kerr and the coaching staff are constantly balancing short-term needs with long-term goals. It's a delicate dance, especially with playoff aspirations looming. One of the biggest talking points right now is Jonathan Kuminga. With Jimmy Butler sidelined, a door has opened. And Kuminga is standing right in front of it. This is a moment for him. An opportunity to prove that he can be more than just a spark. More than just potential. He has the athleticism. He has the tools. Now it's about consistency, decision-making, and impact on both ends of the floor. How Kuminga responds could define his role for the rest of the season and influence major decisions heading into the offseason. This isn't just about minutes. It's about trust. And that brings us to the bigger picture. The Warriors are at a crossroads when it comes to roster management. Do they double down on development? Or do they push their chips in for immediate help? Every option carries risk. Every move has consequences that ripple beyond the season. Maximizing player value has become central to the conversation, especially with the trade deadline approaching fast. The front office faces tough questions. Do you keep Kuminga and invest in his growth? Do you explore trades for established veterans who can contribute right away? Do you address the ongoing issues at the center position? One name that continues to surface in discussions is Andre Drummond. And it's not hard to see why. Rebounding has been a persistent issue. Interior presence has been inconsistent. Drummond's ability to dominate the boards, protect the paint, and provide a physical post presence could solve multiple problems at once. For a team that relies heavily on spacing and three-point shooting, second chance opportunities are gold. Extra possessions amplify Curry's impact. They punish defenses for collapsing. And they take pressure off smaller players who are currently asked to do too much in the rebounding department. Adding a physically imposing center wouldn't just help statistically. It would change the feel of the game. It would allow Golden State to control tempo more effectively. It would give them options when shots aren't falling. And it would restore some of the balance that defined their championship runs in the past. Of course, the Warriors' identity is still deeply tied to three-point shooting. That's both their greatest weapon and their biggest risk. When the shots fall, they can bury teams in minutes. When they don't, things unravel quickly. Transition defense suffers. Energy dips. And opponents gain confidence. Watching games where Curry and Klay are both in rhythm is a reminder of how devastating that combination can be. But it also highlights how important it is for the supporting cast to make smart decisions. Shot selection matters. Defensive rotations matter. Discipline matters. The coaching staff's challenge is making sure every player understands their role, especially in high-leverage moments where one possession can swing an entire game. That balance between freedom and structure is delicate, and it's something Steve Kerr has been navigating all season. Trade speculation continues to swirl, and fans are split. Some want patience. Others want bold action. The conversation around Kuminga's role has become emblematic of that tension. Is he a long-term piece or a trade asset? The answer isn't simple. Managing a roster with this many variables, contracts, and timelines is incredibly complex. Decisions aren't just about winning tomorrow. They're about shaping the franchise for years. Every game, whether it's Utah, Detroit, or a top contender, is a chance to refine strategy and build chemistry. This is preparation for playoff basketball, where execution under pressure is everything. And all of it feeds into a larger narrative. The Warriors aren't just trying to survive. They're trying to reassert themselves as legitimate contenders.